What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is wAFF, and this is my review for the Book of Boba Fett, Episode 7. So just to warn you all, this is a full spoiler review, so if you don't want anything spoiled, then turn off this now. I'm not going to go through this review scene by scene. I'm just going to talk about the things that I enjoyed and what I didn't enjoy, and just my own thoughts on this whole episode as a whole. Okay, so let's get into it. What did I think to the finale of the Book of Boba Fett? Personally, I actually felt like I was pretty disappointed with this episode. It was frustrating, really, because I feel like I went into this episode with really high expectations. I was expecting probably too much. I feel like episode 6 gave us so many amazing moments and just things to look forward to and theories to come up with and just ideas of how this series would end, that I just had so many different ideas of what would happen and none of them really happened. So that's obviously to my downfall, because if I didn't have all these expectations, I might have gone into this completely just happy with whatever I was seeing, like I did with the rest of the season. I did really enjoy the whole Book of Boba Fett. I think maybe episode 3 was the worst, but I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed all of it. Episode 5 and 6, though, especially 6. Episode 5 was unbelievable because Mando was there, and the whole episode was so cool. And it was weird because Boba wasn't even in it. It was just Mando, but I love Mando, and it was a really standout episode. Then we got episode 6, which was it blew my head off for a million reasons. It was beautiful, it was magical, it was proper good Star Wars. We got Luke, which has been deep faked miles better than we've seen before in the past. It was just so good, it felt like we've actually got proper Luke. And we got Ahsoka with Luke. It was mental, it was like a crazy thing. Training Grogu was crazy to see, because it was just playing out the same sort of things that kind of happened when Yoda was training Luke. We got some moments very, very similar to that, like when he was running away with his backpack with Grogu in it, like he did with Yoda. Just things like that. His little somersault was the same. It was like a lot of throwbacks. I loved it. It was amazing. Very nostalgic and very heartfelt episode. So going straight from that to episode 7, I had so many theories in my mind that Luke was going to come down, he was going to return Grogu to Mando, and then he comes down, though, at the time when there's all this big war going on. Luke will then defend and help Mando and obviously Boba, which would have been crazy, because last time we seen Luke and Boba together, they were having a fight, and obviously Luke hit his jetpack, and Boba went straight into the Sarlacc pit. Imagine seeing them two on screen again together, seeing each other for the first time. It would have been amazing. So there was all these things going off in my head. That didn't happen. We did get Grogu coming back down to Tatooine and returning to Mando, which, two things. I was disappointed that we never got to see Grogu's decision being made, because it was such a huge moment. I would have really, really liked to have seen that decision being made, because the tension and just how Luke would have reacted, and I would have liked to have seen that moment, but we never got it. So we just got Grogu getting delivered to Tatooine by R2-D2 in Luke's X-Wing, which I thought was weird that Luke wasn't even there anyway. At least be there to sort of bring him down, and not just send him in a space Uber and be like, fuck off. So yeah, I was a little bit kind of like, when I seen Grogu. Even though I was happy to see him, and I loved the fact that he'd made that decision to go back to Mando, which I thought he would anyway, I was a little bit like, I don't know if I like that, but alright. This episode had a lot of really good things in it. Like, a lot of the stuff happening in this episode I thought was really, really, really good. First of all, I have to say, Cad Bane is just an unbelievable character. Like, every time he was on screen, he just stole the show for me. It was just, his presence is so good. His makeup, the voice, the character, the guy who plays the Cad Bane, I don't know who the actor's name is, but he does an amazing job with his voice. Just his whole presence and persona just really stands out. I love Cad Bane. He's such a sick character that I'm devastated that he died. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that he doesn't actually die, and somehow they bring him back. I did watch this video where it's talking about at the end when he dies, he has this like bleeping still going on within his suit, so maybe that's going to call something to come and rescue him. Who knows? But maybe we're not going to see the end of Cad Bane. I really hope we don't, because he's just amazing. But just, yeah, first of all, Cad Bane was unbelievable in this. I really, really liked everything that I've seen of him. He's just so good. I wish we had more of him. Boba Fett riding a Rancor through Tatooine was literally one of the best things ever. I loved that. That was so, so cool. Every scene with the Rancor was just so good. I really did love it, and it felt like real epic Star Wars moments. We're getting to see Rancor on the streets of Tatooine, ripping the shit out of all these massive battle droids. I can't remember what the names are, but ripping them apart, and it's really, really violent, and just how he does it was just really, really cool. I really did like the Rancor, and the fact Boba's riding it, I was like, yes, Boba, we needed more of that in this season. We needed Boba to be more of a badass. A lot of people have been talking about this. I didn't have a problem because I didn't really know Bobba Fett as a character that much. It wasn't a standout character for me. But I did agree that when we see Mando and he was such a badass, I was like, okay, Boba should be like that, but he wasn't. So these moments that we got with Boba in this episode were really good. Especially the scene where Mando and Boba trying to figure out how they're going to succeed and win this battle without anyone showing up. And Mando's like, well, we'll just die in honor. Oh, this is the way. I really love that little moment they had together. And then when they fly out with their jetpacks and they start blasting everybody, that was sick. I love that. And I just thought, though, why didn't we have Boba do more of that? He's got a jetpack. There were so many scenes within this series that Boba could have just done that and just flown away in his jetpack and started taking everybody out. We should have got more of that. But I was happy that we got it in the end. I think that was a really good thing to see Boba do. I feel like Boba had some really cool moments in this, and that was one of like my sort of positives about this episode. The two giant battle droids that come out was really, really cool moment because I loved how they had the same sort of like bubble shield as the droids. I can't remember the name. The droids that rolled in the prequels. I can't remember their actual name. Anyway, you know what I'm on about. Them droids, the droidets or droidlets or something like that. Anyways, they had the same shield as them, and I thought that was cool. I liked that. I know that these droids have a name. I don't remember it, but I really thought it was cool when I first seen them. I was like, okay, this is getting pretty epic. These two massive droids. But then I started to slowly just not like how things started to play out. For me, a lot of this episode felt like just everyone's just stood still in one place, just shooting the blasters over something, and no one's getting killed, really. There was a few, obviously a lot of the Pikes got killed, but no one on Boba's side got killed. Maybe one extra here and there. I don't know, it just felt like everyone got away from everything safely. No one really got put in danger. The only person who was having a hard time was Chrysanthemum. Black Chrysanthemum was just getting like pretty much killed all the way through this episode. And he was constantly putting everybody else's lives at risk because they would always go and try and help him. But he was the only one who was constantly in danger. Everyone else just seemed to be completely fine. And when these massive droids came out with 4 cannons on each one, and they're blasting at like all of Boba's crew behind the speeder, no one's getting hit. And I was like, what? Like, surely you would run away for a start. You wouldn't just stand there. I wouldn't stand there if these two massive droids are coming at me. So I thought the writing was a little bit sloppy. In this, I thought it was like, well, that just doesn't make sense. I just felt like they should have done better with it. I just felt like a lot of people were just standing around the whole time. Just it was the same sort of scene over and over again. Blasters, just same thing over. And I know it's a big battle between the Pikes and Boba's side, but for me, I just felt like I wanted more. The whole series is built up to this whole point of this war between them all, and it just felt like there was only a handful of people from each side there at one point, and no one's really doing anything. They just stood there, and I don't know, I just didn't think it was that good. It was pretty cool to see Boba and Mando trying to take out these droids, but then I was also still a bit like, you just stood next to it having a conversation while Boba's every now and then just shooting like one bullet, well, not even called bullets I don't think, but shooting one blaster at the shield. Clearly it's not working, but he's still just doing it anyway whilst they have a chat, and then they panic to get out of the way, and then they have another chat and he's still doing it. I just thought, nah, I don't know. It's hard to explain what I didn't like. I just didn't like the writing around these situations for me. But I have to say, the worst thing for me in this whole episode, which completely let me down, was the moment that Mando realizes that Grogu is there. Like, that whole moment for me was completely wasted. I definitely expected like a heartfelt, emotional scene between them both that took a bit of time to allow you to see them both brought together and have that moment where they're like together again and they're just so happy to be with each other. After all, Mando went all that way to go and see Grogu, and he never got to see him. He made this little amazing little cute shirt for him to give him this armor. Grogu chose to leave the Jedi way and go back to Mando is such a huge thing, right? And that moment between Mando and Grogu where Mando can't give him the shirt because Ahsoka's telling him not to, basically that it's going to cause him more stress if he does that. It's going to make life more difficult. That moment was really emotional. It felt really heartfelt, and I was like, that was a beautiful scene. That was not even in here at all. It happened all in the middle of this crazy action scene where Peli Motto is in some bike flying about Tatooine streets trying to get away from the droids and all the battle that's going on. She's screaming. She's being like really like over the top. I felt like she was just so over the top. The fact that she couldn't even hear the battle going on when she was next to it, I thought was ridiculous. Just stupid. But anyway, this moment where she's riding through the streets and Mando's holding onto the back of the bike, and then she suddenly just goes, "Oh, by the way, here's Grogu." Mando's just like, oh, hello, I didn't know you were there. It was kind of just like, is that it? Is that really how they're going to meet? For me, there was no emotional moment in that. It felt like, what? That's just happened like that? God's sake. So yeah, for me, that was kind of just the worst part of it, really. The episode wasn't bad. It wasn't like bad, but I was just disappointed with stuff. I just didn't like some of the writing. I didn't like some of the moments that happened. There was some really, really sick moments, though. I really, really did like the Rancor. I really did like Boba and Mando fighting together. I really liked the fact that Grogu had obviously chosen to be with Mando, but I just felt like it was kind of missing the whole soul of that, the emotional meaning and the spirit behind it, and just the whole attachment to Grogu and Mando just felt like missing. I feel like they just didn't capture any of it, and that was, for me, the most devastating part about this episode. There was one other thing that I enjoyed, but it kind of made me think a lot about it afterwards. The Pike Syndicate, the heads of the Pike Syndicate, and Mok Shai's, the mayor, were obviously taken out so easily by Fennec. Fennec just kills them, all of them. I think there's like 6 to 8 people in this one room. She kills all of them with like 30 seconds. And I was like, okay, I thought it was going to reveal someone at that point, because it kind of felt like that. The tension was building about who it was going to be. It turned out to be Fennec, and I was like, okay, cool, I don't mind that, because she is cool, and I like the fact she is a really cool assassin. I think they've done her really well, but the fact that she took him out that easy, it made me just think, well, why didn't she just do that in the first place? I feel like a lot of this stuff could have just been done in a second. Boba could have easily had his ship, Slave One, and just took out everybody. She could have easily done that and just took everybody out from the beginning of the series. Do you know what I mean? So it felt like, even though it was cool, I was just a little bit like, yeah, but couldn't you just done that before? And also, the post-credit scene of this was just underwhelming. It just was like, I really thought there was going to be some cool reveal, and it turns out to just be Cobb Vanth in the Bacta tank, and that cyberpunk modder just stood behind him, who's got a flame on his like glove or his hand or his robotic finger or whatever it is. And I just couldn't believe that that was the whole tension build-up to reveal that it was Cobb Vanth, and then just the modder turns around. I was like, really? Is that it? So I was underwhelmed by that as well. I feel like they could have done so many cool things with the ending. So yeah, all in all, guys, I feel like this episode was enjoyable. It had some really, really cool moments. I did enjoy it, but I just felt let down and disappointed throughout the whole thing. So for me, if I was to give this episode a rating, I would have to give it a 7 out of 10. There's a part of me that wants to give it a 6 because of just what they could have done with the ending of this and what they didn't do. I don't know. That's just my personal thing, but it is a good episode. There's a lot of good stuff in it. We get to see some really cool moments. I feel like it's a 7. Anyways, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, please hit the like button. That'd be amazing for me. And please let me know down below, what did you guys think to this episode? Did you enjoy it and did you not? I'd love to know all your thoughts. And if you haven't already and you want to stay updated with my content, then please hit the subscribe button. But thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time on wAFFwORLD.